coverage.
More experience.
More stats.
And that's final.
ET Final Score is brought to you by Ashley Furniture.
Hello, I'm Joe Buie, and welcome to the third edition of the ETFinalScore.com Junior College Football Show. I'm joined, as always, by Phil Hicks, who covers the area JUCOs. Well, Phil, first off, talk a little bit about the Apaches game Saturday at Buie.
Yeah, that was a really great game for offensive fans, Joe. Buie won 35-27, but Tyler could have easily have won. They fumbled at the 2-yard line and had allowed some kickoff returns, a lot of mistakes. As Coach Palmer said, they dropped 9 passes, and they already had, more than 400 yards of offense, actually 500-something yards of offense, and they could have easily won that. They were disappointed, but they have a short week this week. They get to play on Thursday at 7 o'clock at Rose Stadium against Northeastern Oklahoma.
Wow, so NEO is coming to town, and they're bringing a much improved team to Tyler, correct?
That's right. Dale Patterson used to coach at NEO many years ago before he went to Oklahoma State as recruiting coordinator. He's come back to kind of save the program. I think they were thinking about dropping football, which would have been a shame, but he has turned that program around, and they are, unlike a lot of the other JUCOs, it's very balanced offense. A lot rely on mainly the pass, but they are almost 50% run and pass.
Okay. Well, I know if you go by comparative scores, NEO didn't fare quite as well against Southeast Prep last week. I think they won 38-9.
That's correct.
And Tyler and the other teams all beat Southeast Prep by a lot more lopsided scores. Do you necessarily read anything into that?
I don't really. Tyler won 68-7, and I asked Coach Palmer about that because I really don't like comparing scores because it's different team to team. And I really don't read a lot into it because I know NEO, after a big win at Buie, we're playing Southeast Prep at home, and they might have been looking forward to Tyler, knowing they were going to have a short week, so they might have not played as well as they could have.
And those are just tune-up games anyway when they play Southeast Prep.
Right. A lot of the backups get to play, and a lot of starters did not play for the full game, so it's really questionable. Talk about comparing scores.
Yeah. Well, Phil, what does the rest of the schedule look like this week in the Southwest JUCO Conference?
Okay, besides Tyler's game on Thursday, the other games are on Saturday. Now, Buie is off, but there's a big game in Athens, Navarra at Trinity Valley, a 7 o'clock matchup. Trinity Valley has to win. They're 0-2 in conference, and they've lost 3 straight games. And this was a team that was supposed to compete for a national championship this year. They had a really heartbreaking loss last week. Cisco scored on the final play of the game, 4th and 2. Kerry Sloan goes into the end zone win, and that's after a very controversial pass interference call that set the Wranglers up at the 2-yard line.
Oh wow! So
they are hosting Navarra Saturday night, and Navarra coming off a loss to Kilgore, they also need to win.
Yeah.
And then the other game has Kilgore at Cisco, and that's always a tough to travel out to Cisco. I know you made that trip.
It's a long trip to West Texas.
Yeah. I know you made that trip a few times, and that's a 3 o'clock game. In Kilgore, who's ranked number 6 in the nation now, they can't let down. They're 4-0 and 2-0 in conference, and they know Cisco played Trinity Valley very well. So Kilgore, that's a really key game.
And if we could go back and talk a little bit about Trinity Valley and Cisco, that game was at Cisco, correct?
That's
the Trinity Valley game.
Yes.
So sometimes that can make a difference. Maybe occasionally on calls.
Definitely, Cisco really has a home field advantage out there. It's after a long ride by the team to get out there, and you never know what the weather is in West Texas. The wind, it's very tough wind out there, and I know it affects the ball quite a bit.
But I do believe they now have field turf.
That's true. That makes a huge difference.
Yes, helps the conditions.
But they do have a home field advantage for sure there.
And Phil, what do you think has happened to the Trinity Valley Cardinals as far as they were experienced this year, right?
Yes, they have a lot of veterans coming back.
So where do you feel like they've broken down?
Well, I think partly when they lost to Iowa Western, they were really expecting to win that game, and they had, I don't know if their goal was to win. Their only goal was to win the national championship. Sometimes that hurts you when you lose one because it's hard to win one with one loss.
That was a big national high-profile game, and maybe they that took a little wind out of their sails, possibly.
That's possibly true, but they can still rebound because you can make the playoffs. 4 teams make the playoffs in the Southwest Junior College Football Conference, and you can go and win the championship and go to a bowl game.
Right. And last thing, Kilgore. You think this is Kilgore's best team in quite some time?
Yes, I believe Kilgore's coming off 3 straight losing seasons. If I think that's correct.
Yeah, that's really unusual.
Unusual. They've had a great program over the years, and Coach Eckert has really got them going over there. And they beat Tyler here 38-30, and they got an impressive defense this year. In this high-scoring JUCO league, you need a defense, and they got some big, a good secondary, so that they are the favorites right now, I believe.
All right. Well, Phil, was there anything else that we needed to cover? Anything else you wanted to add this week?
Well, I know if the Tyler fans come out Thursday night, I know the East Texas Fair is going on, so you might arrive there early. But it's a 7 o'clock game, and you can see one of the top quarterbacks in the nation, in Tyreek Rollison. He was highly recruited out of Sulphur Springs when he led them to the state championship that year. He's got a cannon for an arm, and you could see him at a major college next year. And then Ryan Young, he may not be very tall, but he's one of the most powerful runners I've ever seen.
He's got good feet.
Good feet. He's very fast. He played at Iowa Gold and Sulphur Springs, and they're really a fun team to watch. The offense, they'll put up some points, or they should put up some points. They have been.
They just need to be able to have a good defensive game.
Yeah, I know Coach Palmer was very upset about the tackling last week, so I bet you they worked. I know they only had a few days to work on it, but they worked on it.
Right.
Very, very much so.
All right. Well, be sure to check back each week for our JUCO football show on ETFinalScore.com. And thanks for joining us.